Peter the Great, the man who revolutionized and modernized Russia. Also, he hated beards. Hello everybody and welcome to History Abridged. It's history, just shorter. Today we're going to be talking about Peter the Great as requested by Peter Maguire. I'm sure them sharing a name is just a coincidence. Now, Peter the Great. This guy is pretty cool. He's the reason that Russia is considered more of a Western country as opposed to an Eastern country, because it's more on the eastern side of the globe. He is also a large reason that Russia is the major power that it is today. In 1682, at the age of 10, Peter was named Tsar of Russia after a dispute among the nobility. After that, there was a little bit of a rebellion, which ended with Peter and his older half-brother Ivan being named joint czars, though neither of them were really a true leader because they were always being fed information and responses to problems. It wasn't until 1696 that Peter became sole czar and the true leader of Russia. This was when he started to westernize Russia. He wanted to create a professional, effective military, but he had a couple obstacles there. One, the Russian Navy was basically non-existent. And two, the people of Russia were very uneducated, and Peter believed that education was key to having an effective military. So he decided to tour Europe. He spent a lot of time in Amsterdam and in London specifically learning how to build ships. Because of his exposure to this more modern culture, the Russian Navy went from basically not existing to having 500 ships. He also decided to pay to send noble sons to school in Europe, and also built a lot of schools to educate the general population. And just to move this reformation on a little bit faster, he decided to start dressing in European fashion and forcing nobles to do the same. Now this was not a cheap endeavor, so Peter decided to kill two birds with one stone by taxing things that weren't Western enough, so he'd make money and discourage people from being Eastern. The things he taxed include beards and hats. Not kidding. He also taxed things like souls and nuts, but I think that was more for the money and not just the cultural thing. Peter also introduced meritocracy to Russia, the practice where people actually have to rise through the ranks based on their merit, their skills, as opposed to their birth. He changed the system so nobles actually had jobs instead of just existing and having money. Of course, as with any large-scale change, there were certain classes that did not like what was happening. Specifically, the Streltsy and the Church. The Streltsy, basically musketeers, rebelled, but were put down, and over 2,000 of them were executed. The Church was a rival of Peter for some time. They had a figurehead, the Patriarch, and Peter didn't like having a competing figurehead. So, when the Patriarch died, instead of installing a new one, Peter installed a council of bishops who A, supported him, and B, turned the church into a faceless institution that challenged him less. In 1721, Peter the Great officially named Russia to be an empire, and one with a much more effective military, education system, and economy than the one he found. Also, he conquered quite a bit of land. 4 years later, he died without naming an heir. So that's Peter the Great. So he could be a little bit tyrannical, with the whole slaughtering of thousands of people and taxing beards and that sort of thing. But without him, Russia would likely not be the superpower that it is today. Thanks, Peter.